What's up everybody, and welcome back. So I've been meaning to recommend this mostly because it's the manga that I've been reading the most, because it's been the one that I've been trying to catch up on. Not that I've been reading it for a while and just haven't recommended it, but because when I started reading it, I was like, I need to catch up with this right now. So today I'm recommending Chieri's Love is 8 Meters. This is a comedy, romance, school life shonen written by Mitogawa Wataru, which I have never seen one author write two stories that are so completely different, not just in tone or in content, but like, okay, so while I was obviously putting this video together, I like to find out who actually writes the mangas that I read. Why? Because they deserve a shout out. They're the authors. They deserve it. So when I found out Mitogawa Wataru was writing this, I had no idea who that was. So I had to look at the other work that was being created, and man, this dude is creating Gunbird Sisters 8, aka, or at least in, I guess, the English translation, Nuns with Guns. I don't know if any of you have heard about Nuns with Guns, but this is a action vampire ecchi yuri, like, it is so different from Chieri's Love is 8 Meters. Chieri's Love is 8 Meters is like a wholesome family romance comedy thing, and Nuns with Guns is the absolute complete opposite. So if you want to know more about that, let me know in the comments below and I can do a review of it. That manga is still ongoing also, but it's not what I'm talking about today. I just had to bring it up because it was so wild to see. I guess it's like the distinction between Bob Saget on Full House and his comedy, because it is so different. But Chieri's Love is 8 Meters Tall is, again, it is just a regular comedy, romance, school life shonen. There are 39 chapters right now, which may sound like a lot, but a good amount of those chapters, I'm not going to say half, but maybe a third are half chapters, where it's kind of like 1 to 3 pages of just kind of extra content, which is kind of nice to see because it kind of fills in sort of the gaps. And it is all canon stuff, but it's not all stuff that you actually need to read to understand what's going on in the story at all. But the story is obviously about the two main characters, Chieri, the 8 meter tall girl, and Yumeji, who is her childhood friend slash helper. And what that means is he helps her do stuff because she is 8 meters tall, which in feet is 26 feet tall. So she's really big, so there are some things that obviously she can't do, like, I don't know, use a vending machine or something. I mean, it's not like if she used a vending machine, whatever she got out of it, it would be like a drop to her, because, you know, she's 26 feet tall. But Yumeji is chosen by her to be her helper because they are childhood friends and because she has a crush on him, obviously. Does he have a crush on her? I think so. So the story is obviously a romance about these two high school kids that like each other. Maybe Yumeji less. At least I think it's one of those situations where he doesn't know that he likes her, but he understands that he has more feelings for her than he does for anybody else. You know what I'm saying? One of those, we're closer friends than everybody, but I don't know. If you've read manga, if you watched anime, you know what I'm talking about. So it is a very nice little wholesome romance comedy that you've probably seen multiple times, with the only real difference being that Chieri is obviously 8 meters tall. Does that give way to some different kind of shenanigans? Yes, it does. Does that give way to some different kind of teasing? Yes, it does. And honestly, I had seen this manga before. It had come around on my page before. It had shown up on the front page of my manga site before, and I've just kind of ignored it because I said, why am I just gonna read another romance manga? But the only difference is that this main girl is a giant. But oh, how wrong I was. romance. Not that it is any different, but that distinction doesn't actually make this a lot more enjoyable than a lot of the regular kind of romance manga that you read. For some reason, maybe it's just me, but for some reason, the fact that she is 26 feet tall just makes it so much more entertaining. It does put a different spin on it than any other just little romance. Do they get into the same romance shenanigans? Yes, but she's a giant. Does she stick him in her shirt? Yes, because she's a giant. Do they fall into the same kind of romance traps and scenarios that you could imagine, that you've seen before, that you've read before, that you've watched before? Of course they do, but she's a giant. And for some reason, that simple adjustment makes it feel so much different and so much more refreshing than if it was just a normal sized girl. In a normal romance, they'll go to a festival, the girl's sandal will break, the boy will put her on his back, give her a piggyback ride, and she'll say something romantic to him, like, or she'll confess to him. He won't hear it because of fireworks, right? Typical. In this, her shoe breaks, but obviously he's like, I'll give you a piggyback, and then they laugh about it because he's like, oh right, you're a giant. So instead, she carries him, puts him on her little shoulder, well, I guess big shoulder, he's the little one, puts him on her shoulder. He now says something romantic to her that actually I don't think it was covered up by fireworks. I think it was just like he stopped himself because he didn't want to go there yet. But these little distinctions, these little shifts make it so enjoyable. Now, do we know why she's 8 meters tall? No. Was she normal before? Yes. But then one day she just, I guess, started growing, became 8 meters tall. Are there other giant people? As far as we know, there's only one other giant girl named Nero, who's typical kind of bratty, tsundere-ish, you're not going to be better than me, cuter than me kind of character. But she's not too much in it. When she's introduced, she's in it a little bit. She gets relegated to being more of a side character, which is perfectly fine with me because it is a romance focused on Yumeji and Chieri. But I mean, imagine your typical romance manga. Now scale the girl up and imagine the other kind of scenarios you can get into. All the characters are fun. Chieri is obviously fantastic. She's cheery, she's happy, she's a giant. Yumeji is a normal guy for the most part, except for muscles. He has a thing for muscles. Does Chieri have muscles? No, but he wants to be like a burly guy, which is just funny to me because it's like, it's just a funny little thing. Do they keep playing into it? Not often, because one of the good things about this is that they're not telling the same jokes over and over again every single chapter. That doesn't mean some of the same shenanigans don't happen, but there's not a lot of repetition. Again, the fact that she is 26 feet tall for some reason lends itself to a new kind of storytelling where you can tell the same scenarios that any other romance manga has, but now every scenario has a twist generated by the sheer fact that one of the main characters is a giant in a world where there's only one other giant. Will they ever figure out why she's 8 meters tall? How she became 8 meters tall? I kind of doubt it. Will she shrink down? Maybe by the end. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping that it'll be like one of those confessions / first kiss, and then she shrinks down and then they could be happy together. Give me a nice little epilogue of them two being together. Is that going to happen? I'm not sure. I assume they'll both end up together. I don't think this is one of those serious manga where like there's gonna be hindrances in their relationships or other people showing up, or maybe they'll introduce a character of normal height that Chieri feels like she has to compete with for Yumeji. But as of now, Yumeji and Chieri are great. The story's great, the manga's great, the art style's great, and it's just a refreshing take on a school life romance. If you're like me and you're not 100% convinced even by this video, I would suggest just checking it out for yourself, because I slept on this for a while. Maybe like 15 chapters back is the first time I saw this, and I wish I had picked it up sooner. So if you enjoy, if this looks interesting to you, I suggest checking it out for yourself. If you want other recommendations, check out the playlist. Links in the description box down below, along with the links to the podcast, all of our social media, merch, and whatever else you need. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next one.